Hey everybody, this is Denny.
And this is James from TDB, bringing you episode number 122. So today we have one of the classics. We're a bit slow reviewing this on the show. This tea has been around for a while. It's the 2002 White Whale. A lot of people have reviewed this tea, but you've never tried it.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have already preheated and tossed 5 grams of leaf into here, 70 milliliter Gaiwan. It's from 2002. It's had relatively dry storage. It comes in brick form, as you can easily see. So if you're looking for something that's both the small size, nice to buy, as well as something that could double potentially as a weapon, then this is a pretty good tea. The compression's good. Yeah. Although I would say for weapons, you should maybe look more towards Shagwan.
Yeah.
They
really
are
hard pressed.
Yeah, maybe
This
like
is
some
pretty hard
freshly
pressed,
pressed. Yeah, it is. So, so yeah, we're gonna get brewing here.
Sounds great. I gave this a whiff and was like, "Woo, this smells like some tea."
Yep. So this currently sells for $30 for 100 grams.
Okay, that's really reasonable, right?
Yeah, it's relatively reasonable considering the storage and stuff. It used to be a little bit cheaper, but I mean that's the way I guess Pu'erh tends to go. The good stuff goes up in price.
That's how it works. These fine connoisseur things we partake in.
So I'm gonna give that 2 rinses just so we can get to the good stuff a little bit quicker.
And let me ask you while we're doing this, James, have you been using a screen at all? I've actually been experimenting with it, and yeah.
You mean like a strainer?
Mm-hmm.
I do not. Although for teas like this, it could be tempting. There's just going to be a lot of sediment that happens regardless, just because it's in sort of like that brick form.
Right.
So.
And yeah, I find also that harder pressed Pu'erh ends up flaking a little bit more and kind of creating a bit more sediment when I break it up too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer to that question.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard some people talk about like the screens like affecting the taste or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's purely aesthetic.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's kind of like a laziness thing too. It's just like I've gotten so in the habit of it that I don't mind a little bit of sediment.
Right on. Look at how dark that is already. Holy crap.
Yeah. So this is like dry storage, but I believe it was dry stored in a more humid place.
Okay.
So it could mean a very different thing if we're talking about like Seattle dry storage versus like somewhere else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Give it a shot.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's way gone. Just like a nice soft front, and then immediately this sweetness comes into play.
I noticed a little bit of mouth cooling too.
Huh. I could actually buy into that, yeah.
Sort of like the menthol-y type.
Yeah, definitely. These aged raw Pu'erhs to take on this really particular character that I've just talked about in terms of things like pencil shavings before. I've talked about in terms of like tomato vines, and I don't know.
Both classical Chinese terms to describe tea.
Shut up. But I think that this has a similar characteristic in that there's a little bit of tartness. There's no astringency, and I think that's a testament to how James is brewing this tea. Its age. And it's getting much more red. Wow.
Yeah, and that steep was a little bit light for my taste, and I think we can definitely get more. And you can just see that the leaves have definitely not fully expanded at this point. So I'm going to push the tea a little bit more, and so we can get to more of the content sooner.
Sure, and so when you're looking at in the Gaiwan for folks out there, James, in making a decision like that based on how you perceive the tea leaves to be dry versus sort of still hard and dry versus moist and soaked up, what are you looking for? Are you looking for the tea leaves to sort of expand in volume? How are you telling by looking at the cup for folks out there.
You know, there's a lot of clues. I mean, like, we tasted the first brew. The first brew, I would say, you know, there's some stuff there, but it's pretty light. I've also brewed this tea a lot, so I kind of know, like, what liqueur, like, this is more of what I'm used to, like a deeper orangish red, rather than, like, something that's a little bit more orange to yellow, like our first cup. And also, you can just tell by the amount of space, volume that the leaves have taken up there.
Sure, totally.
Like, you can see that now, I'll kind of tilt it towards you guys, it's taken about 3/5 of the gaiwan or so. You would expect it to take up a little bit more by the end of it, but after the first steep, it was only a quarter of the gaiwan, maybe.
And folks out there, there's nothing wrong with just kind of, you know, putting your finger in there and moving the tea around a little bit and seeing is it still kind of clumping up and holding together at one spot, and the outside is a little bit more moist than the inside. And
and I mean, I think what Denny did also on one of his in-between episodes is really smart with the jingmai, with your classical Chinese fork method. Just to, like, break up those things, because it's a challenge to brew those things. It's hard to get an even brew, and like, some of those things can just come off really poorly if you're like giving it flash steeps and it hasn't even come apart yet.
Yeah, totally agree with the menthol. Now, especially, there's that tartness that I really like. It's on the tip of my tongue, and it kind of comes at the end of it. It reminds me a lot of that characteristic. Has a little bit of similarity with some of the younger raws that I drink too. It has that kind of like tart intensity, and I like that a lot. This is nice.
Yeah. Do you notice that in like young raw Pu'erhs, or is it like the Dahong, for instance?
Yeah, I'd say kind of. I don't know, not too young.
Okay.
There's more of a gasoline-y, petroleum vibe, minerally vibe with those teas, and
So
I
you
think it involves
it might come
tartness.
from sort of like its evolution over time, like its storage and stuff.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is quite nice. Really nice red liqueur, kind of red-orange. I like the viscosity on this. It's not too thick.
It's relatively smooth. For me, like, the primary taste, the base of it seems to be sort of like a woody taste, a little bit of pine, I would say, but sort of kind of in that genre.
Definitely. Yeah, resinous, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, like pine resin sort of vibe for sure. This is tasty. What kind of an environment or setting or mood would you be in for drinking something like this? Just everyday life.
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, I think this tea, it's got a lot of flavor, so I think it'd be a tea that'd be appealing to non-tea drinkers, but it has to be the right type of a tea drinker. Maybe like those that are into whiskeys or something like that.
Yeah.
It might be kind of interesting.
Right. These flavors aren't the most immediately accessible. But that doesn't mean that as someone who's new to tea, you can't enjoy them. You just might want to make sure that you also enjoy stranger flavors with your food that you're drinking and the other beverages that you're consuming as well.
Because, I mean, like, to an outsider, tasting like pine and wood doesn't sound particularly great.
Right.
It's like I could just lick this table. Come on, man. Well, I wouldn't recommend that either. But this table has been finely aged.
Disclaimer: TDB does not offer medical advice.
This is true.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Yeah, it has that woody. You know, I was drinking a 2014 Crimson Lotus, and I talked a little bit about. It was one of my in-between episodes in the mountain, and I talked a little bit about it having kind of a fresh green wood chip taste to it. This has kind of like an aged wood chip taste to it, almost. You know, it still has that really. Smelly, what's the better word for that? I don't know. Pungent, yeah, exactly. Nose to it, really great. And like this returning little bit of mouth puckering tartness that I really like with these teas.
Definitely still some astringency, still some youth in this tea. It could be aged more. It's not as smooth as it could be maybe in another 5-10 years, but it is still pretty smooth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And enjoyable, and there's that really nice kind of sweetness that comes back into your mouth. You'll walk away from this session tasting this tea for a long time. And I agree, it's kind of cooling, interestingly enough. So
yeah, in the mouth especially.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. When would you be able to drink a tea like this?
You know, this feels kind of like a first cup of the day tea to me. Just because in the morning I do like kind of warmer, or rather more like full-bodied, bold flavors, growing up as a coffee drinker. Yeah, and this has a lot of that. So like we talked about in a couple of the episodes with you on sourcing, how you want to progress through teas throughout the day. And this one would be, in that sense, it'd be a later tea to be drinking. It's got a lot of flavor, a lot of boldness and intensity. But, I don't know, I just kind of immediately think of the morning.
Another question. Do you taste any smoke in this tea?
Let's give it another shot, but I smell more smoke than I taste.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot, though.
Because I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. And can't find it. I don't
even
really.
It feels like the type of tea where you would get some smoke into it.
Yeah.
But I actually don't get smoke, and I've been drinking a lot of smokier teas lately. So I'm curious if it's just like my palate becoming acclimated. Or if this tea, in its current form, just doesn't have a ton of smoke.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. You know, it doesn't have that peaty, mineral-y smokiness. It's more of a aged wood kind of a vibe.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's really delicious. And I am awake. I am going.
Yep.
Love the tea for that reason. So,
where could someone find out more about tea, Denny?
Well, the first thing you need to do is subscribe.
Down below.
There. And we are releasing a couple episodes a week at minimum. TDB.org is a great resource. And this is a White2Tea's.
Yeah, so check them out.
Those guys out as well.
Definitely a tea that I'd recommend checking out.
Yeah. But join our newsletter, comment, subscribe, like, Twitter, Instagram.
Do all the cool stuff.
Do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Be social.
Yeah.
Use your phone. And we'll see you guys for episode 123.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.